call?
I will. So we will be recording this
How are you?
meeting. So I will ask by roll call who's in attendance. I see Jen Insaldi,
Yes.
Jerry Doherty,
Present.
Kate Fournier,
Here.
and Micah Burhart.
Here.
Excellent. And Keith Bradley is not in attendance. We also have Lily Gilligan from the SAU office and Pam Simpson and Principal Gail Dembowski.
Darlene Ferens from the community.
And Hank Brennish
You
is
darling.
on the phone, and Emily Benson is also here, and our note taker, Melissa Donaldson.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, with everybody here, let's move right along. So we're going to skip the saluting of the flag at this moment, and we'll move on to approved minutes from 5/18/20. Someone like to make a motion? I could second it.
So moved.
Any changes?
Good
Any
to me.
discussion or changes?
I'm good.
All right, that looks great to me.
Yep, all good.
Okay, all those in favor? Roll call.
Jen Insaldi. Jen?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And Micah.
Yes.
All right, any citizens' comments? Emily, Darlene? No?
I'd just like to say, as a member of the community, that I was very impressed by all the graduation ceremonies, and even coming into my neighborhood, looking at one of the sixth graders' signs. So I commend the district for all their hard work and making the kids feel special. And I really was thinking about this. This shows them that they can count on adults to kind of pull it through for them. So appreciate Mr. Richard and all your hard work, and those in all the schools that did such a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah. So moving on, presentation of school programs, FYI items.
I don't have anything
Nothing, Kevin?
this time. Gail?
Nope, not at this
Okay.
time.
Okay, old business tuition contract. I don't think, Kevin, do we have anything new on that? I think
No,
Sasha
just-
is a- oh,
Further down on the agenda, there is the topic of the co-op planning update, so I can address that at that time. Kind of ties directly with that.
okay, great. I did have a question, and it maybe come up later, but did we have anybody else from the community step forward? I think we put it out in an e-news, so I haven't heard anything. Gal, maybe?
I haven't gotten any specific requests from any community members yet.
Okay. All right. So, and Jerry, you're still on the hook for that, just reminding you. Okay. All right, moving on to instructional issues, first reading of policies. I'm going to make a motion to accept all these at once, and then we can vote on them separately. That works for everybody? Okay, so motion to vote on first reading of JFL, JLIEB, JBCB, GBCC.
Moved.
All right.
By roll call, Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, first reading. So this is the first time we're reading through this. If anybody has any changes or discussion, now is the ultimate time to say so. So the first reading of JLF, reporting child abuse or neglect. Does anybody have any questions on that one? Kevin, can you scroll to it too, if you don't mind?
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
So typically, whenever there's, if I might Madam Chair. So first reading, for those who aren't as familiar, there are a number of policies that do come forward in the school board should adopt. So anytime there's a change in the law or something that has not been updated for a long time, it'll go to the policy committee. In Jackson and Bartlett typically will now, over the past couple of years, Katie Wilson runs the policy committee, and she'll take model language either from the attorneys and or from the school board association or directly from the law. And sometimes Pam will bring things forward as far as special education goes, discrimination, any of those pieces, and they'll go to the policy committee. And at the policy committee, you folks will dialogue about that, kind of twist it and turn it. And sometimes the law is not always easily understood, so we try to explain those pieces. And then what you will see is if you have an existing policy, that's in there, and sometimes it'll strike through different things. And if it's new language to the policy, that will come to you in bold. So anything that's bold is new language to the policy. So policies go to the agenda and they're put on there, and you get the first look at it. So the Jackson School Board takes a look at it, and first time through, if you have questions, you can ask questions. If you need explanation, we can answer those. And sometimes you folks will change the language or send it back to the committee for discussion if you have a particular interest. Most of the time, as I said, it's model language that we get from either school board association or the different attorneys. And I think that, you know, there are a lot of policies out there, and kind of going through these policies is a good thing to update. So if you have specific questions, feel free to take a look.
Thank you, Kevin. Does anybody have any questions on JLF that we're looking at right now? Okay, and hearing none, vote to move it to second reading?
Jen and Saldi,
Yes?
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to JLIEB Safety Program. And this is a first reading. Anybody have any questions on this one, or?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none.
All those in favor, Jen and Saldi,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to GBCB, Staff Conduct. I think this is a new one.
It is, and it's updated. I'm not sure you even had a staff conduct policy, but you know, 2 years ago, the New Hampshire Code of Conduct became law, and you should really have a policy related to the adoption of those Code of Conduct and the Code of Ethics. So simply, this is your district policy related to those pieces.
Anybody have any questions, comments? All right. Hearing none, we'll vote.
Jen,
Yes?
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, GBCC, Staff Responsibilities. Another new one. Any questions, discussion? All right,
Jen,
yes?
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, so these are second readings, so this is the second time we've looked at these, and these will be through for final approval. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept all of these, and then we'll vote on them individually. So motion to accept J LDBB, AC, ACAA, JBAA, JBAA, replace ACAAR, JBAAR, move an ACF.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to adopt the policies 1 through 6 that are on the agenda.
And second?
All those in favor, Jen and Saldi,
Yep,
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. All right, moving on to 7A, election of Kathy Byrne as instructional aide. Motion,
So moved?
any
Second?
questions?
Oh,
Somebody say something? No. All right, all those in favor?
Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
That's great.
Kathy's been a really nice addition to the team this year. I think the heart that she brings to everything that she does has been really, really sweet in our community.
I
She's
agree.
amazing.
Yep.
It's really good. And then 7B, confirm election of Victoria Hills Family Advocate School Counselor. Very excited about this myself. So motion.
So moved? Very excited as well.
I got to be part of I got to kind of be last minute part of the interview committee. And it was really, I don't know Victoria well. And so it was really exciting and really fun to get to know her a little bit better in that kind of forum. And she did great, and she's really positive, and I think that she's going to make an awesome addition to all of our kind of cross school community for our Jackson kids. I think it's exciting.
Yeah,
Yes,
me too.
the,
Very
the-
excited.
Faculty is happy to have her continue and to be back on a full-time basis as well. She was someone they could always count on. She maintained the confidentiality and was very supportive of them and addressing the needs of kiddos. So she's already been reached out to by a couple of parents to start her summer work. So all good.
Awesome. All right. And Gail, we'll be checking in with you occasionally because this is a new position. So we'll probably have a little bit more, conversation about it just to see how it's going and how it's splitting up and stuff.
She had asked something I think we talked about at the interview committee was a chance for her to come and talk to you about your hopes and thoughts about the position as we were moving into next year. So she's open to that if you wanted to include that in a future board meeting.
Great. Okay. And then. Awesome.
So before we get too far, we should probably vote on her election before we start assigning her all these jobs.
Giving
All
all
those
the
in
work.
favor? Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
All right. 7C, election of Jessica Bussier, as ESI teacher. How do you say her name?
Bussier.
Yeah.
So moved?
Any questions?
Second. Great, we found someone.
Yes, she's been teaching at John Fuller, and Danielle, I reached out to the other principals in the district when our usual teacher couldn't do it. And she and I actually had 2 candidates to choose from. So I think Jessica's going to be great.
All right.
We stole something from there. That's good.
All those in favor? Jen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to section 8, business affairs. Any questions on the budget status report? Nope. Okay. Moving on to 8B, looking for a vote for approval for staff kids. This was a last minute addition. I don't know if everybody read the information that was Kevin sent out before the meeting. We're looking to include so 1 third grader and 1 kindergarten person. Any question on that? All right, we already know that Gail said we have plenty of room. There won't be any upsets to any classroom or any extra financial strain on the budget for this. So we can vote on it as one. So motion.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, Jen?
Yep. Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And Micah?
Yes.
All right. Kevin, the reentry committee?
Yeah, so just a few things that we can kind of talk about is, yeah, you know, I appreciate Darlene mentioning, and I know Gail will talk specifically about Jackson, and the end of the year throughout the whole SAU has been just phenomenal as far as trying to recognize and celebrate all of the different accomplishments of the students, whether it's at Jackson Grammar School, your students going to Josiah Bartlett Elementary Middle School. I know Principal Yana put together a nice piece as well for those students. And then just 2 days ago, the high school graduation, just tremendous amount of community support and just the staff willingness. And you have to thank Ben Wilcox and the Fairbanks family at Cranmore for opening up in putting Cranmore at the forefront and donating so much time. I know that we've received a lot of publicity, and these things don't happen by accident. I know that the high school administration, along with Katie Wilson, just meticulous planning and attention to detail. Dutch Blumenwinkel did the flowers that were absolutely spectacular, and hopefully you get a chance to take a look at those photographs. Mother Nature was so accommodating for us that I could keep my jacket on for the day, and it started off at 8 in the morning, and we had about 5 people who received their diploma at the base of Mount Cranmore, and then the first chairlift was boarded at about 8:30, and actually it was interesting. We had 2 students who have service dogs, and their families hiked up the mountain with their dogs, met the students at the top, the graduates, and it was neat. They had little doggy diplomas for the dogs, as well as special treats from For Your Paws Only, and the dogs were so excited to see their graduates. And then they walked across the staging area, received their diploma, get great pictures around the hut, and get some more pictures. So they were at the top, I would say about 20 minutes or so, and then the beautiful chairlift ride down was spectacular. You know, all the precautions were put in place, the social distancing and the hand sanitizer. Can't say enough about the lift operators and all the different folks there. And it was just a great culminating event for the students and their families. Lots of smiles all day long, very appreciative. It was followed by the Kennet Caravan that started on Eagles Way, went up North-South Road, and then ended up at the Ham Arena, and just a tremendous amount of people that were out to, again, celebrate the community. And it was just a great day. Along with that, if you didn't get a chance, I know I spoke to Emily Benson a little bit earlier, but they did all the scholarships. It started actually on Thursday, and all the scholarships were pre-recorded and recognized all the students, streamed live on YouTube as well as Channel 3. And then on Friday night, the principal's speech and several other speeches and awards were given out. And that was recorded and streamed live on Friday night as well, which fed into the wonderful Saturday. So I think that as much as our graduating seniors had to give up and our they lost a lot of those pieces, it was definitely a special event, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a whole lot more publicity related to it. So thanks. I know Jen, you folks in the Valley Originals, I did eat my roast beef sandwich at the top of the mountain Saturday afternoon, but everybody, the cider company, just tremendous support all the way around. So can't thank the community enough about that. So that was graduation. And then we brought this year to a close, and now we have this reentry committee that's getting started, right? So you probably keeping track of these things, and it felt like we needed to get going on this. So there's a committee of about 45 to 50 people that are on the committee with a number of subcommittees. And this is the planning committee to put things in place. That'll be phase 1. And then phase 2 will be implementation of the plan. And then we will have, we'll bring it to the SAU board probably at the end of July. We'll get everybody there, kind of present it to you folks. Our goal is hopefully to determine in August, where we're going in the beginning of August, in fairness to the teachers, the staff. But the reentry committee, and I want to be clear about this. This is not the committee that will determine whether we do come back in September or not. This is when we do return to school. This is what the plan will be. And it's going to be dynamic. As things change, we will adapt that plan as well. And I know that the State Department of Education has a task force that's ready to go. I know Massachusetts printed theirs, Vermont has printed theirs, and Maine has printed theirs. So we're taking those pieces and we're adapting. Obviously, Jackson Grammar School is different than Josiah Bartlett, and it's different than the high school for a number of different reasons. But there are some things that are universal that would take place all the way from preschool all the way through 12th grade. Things like personal protection and screening policies and screening procedures, responses to what happens if. So it's quite a process. We do have a couple of our Valley medical professionals on there, as well as the school nurses have done a tremendous amount of work. So we'll be keeping you posted. We actually have our second meeting this Wednesday, taking a little bit of a reprieve for a week. We'll have a steering committee meeting, but then we'll get back in right after the 4th of July and start hitting that. So that's the reentry committee. Summer food service. So Katie Wilson has done a lot of work. We are area eligible, which means that you can serve food in Jackson. Those constraints have been loosened up a little bit. So the plan right now is to prepare all of the meals at Josiah Bartlett School and then bring those meals to Jackson. Kind of the tricky part is how many meals will be consumed or taken advantage of. So the first week or so will be kind of a feeling out process. So any student who's 18 or below is eligible for meals. And what we will do is on Monday, there'll be 2 sets of meals, breakfast and lunch available. And then on Wednesday, there will be 3 sets of meals for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, breakfast and lunch. So you, Jackson, will be reimbursed from the federal government. We'll be able to claim all of those, which is really good. So anybody can come in. You don't have to be free or reduced. It's just a meal program for the summer. And I think that Gail and Katie are working on personnel to figure out exactly who it's going to be. So if there's any cost to Jackson, it'll be very minimal, but you'll be feeding students throughout the summer. And that's summer food service. The last piece, go ahead.
I just want to add one thing to the summer food service, just to clarify. The 18-year-old and younger does not have to be a resident of Jackson. you may have families visiting or families moving into Jackson for the summer with grandparents and they need food. They don't have to prove residency. So that will increase your numbers as well to decrease your costs.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And just so you, and not to add on, we had a gentleman who's been trying, a community member who's been trying to donate money for the summer lunch program, for the food program for the Jackson residents. So he was all lined up to pay whatever it would have taken within reason, but was willing to pay for the summer program for our Jackson students who needed something. And so he was all set to pay. We were ready to make the account switch, put it on the agenda. And then Katie came back and said that the program was actually funded through the summer regardless. So I've had to disappoint this gentleman. So hopefully there'll be, so he was very nice about it. So it's just a wonderful community. So.
And then the last piece I have for this evening is the co-op planning update. So we had the joint SAU 9 and SAU 13 meeting. So that had everybody on there, and it was discussed, and it looks like the first full meeting will be in September. Get through the summer and reorganize and get everybody assigned to that. Yeah, Jerry, you were appointed, elected, selected to be on that committee. And then remember, one school board member, and you can have 2 other committee members at large for that. So if anybody's interested, let Jen know, and we'll make sure you get added to the list. So that really is my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for doing such an amazing job
What
with the
happened?
presentation and all of the leadership that it took, and to everyone who was a part in it. It's really inspiring to see that come out of our valley, and the support for those students and the community building.
Right.
I lost somewhere. I got shut off.
Did we lose Jen?
I'm back. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yep, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I got disconnected. I don't know why. Okay. So we have Gail now?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead, Jen, while you try to figure out your connection. I'm not sure what I'm going to try to do is going to work either, but I was hoping to share with you our class of 6th graders moving on. Did a number of activities that I wanted to try to share with you. One of them, first I want to thank Susan and Kathy and members of the community who made banners. I don't know if you've driven by the school and seen the festive banners that are hanging over the driveway. That made a really unique kind of setting for the 6th graders. Like this Kennett High School graduation, we had an absolutely, well, actually we got rained out the first day, but the second day when we actually held it, it was just gorgeous, and had all 6 of the families pull into the loop, and they stood while we presented everything. So it went really, really well. And as is our tradition, each 6th grader typically does a slideshow that we project as they walk into the Whitney Center. So this year, Allison and John Stokey did a fabulous job with technology. We were able to stream it live and then dub in the slideshow that I'm going to share with you in a moment. The slideshow is a little bit different this year in that it's all the 6th graders together. They collaborated on it and shared their pictures, and at the same time, they wrote a collective poem called Jackson Grammar School Is. So I will see if I can play it for you. So let's see, share screen. I'm learning a lot about technology, as the rest of us are. Mhm. Google Chrome.
Gail's doing that. I did get to see the, I watched it on Facebook Live. It was awesome. And then they had a little parade from the school down to the Thompson House, which was awesome. Oh,
There you go, Gail. All right.
All right.
Jackson Grammar School is
Whoops.
learning in a rustical classroom,
having the opportunity to be outside a lot,
running to grab a swing,
Tin Mountain in the language arts,
singing people out of ASM,
learning with the community,
making a mess with hands-on projects,
playing fun games at recess with their little buddies,
learning new languages,
long recesses,
begging to play flashlight tag at PE,
taking responsibility for our own actions,
spraying my friends with snow at Black Mountain,
having fun with friends,
making a taco shop in the snow,
annual concerts in the town show,
sharing fresh fries at Black Mountain,
helping and learning,
hearing the fish tank running constantly,
learning new things every day,
a place I'll miss even though I only spent one short year here,
field trips to all sorts of fun places,
hiding colorful shovels in the snow and not finding them until spring,
playing with friends at recess,
breaking people's ankles by juking mountain soccer,
playing in the snow,
negotiating with the little kids for plastic shovels,
a nice small school,
a little school with a big heart,
KGS is
having fun.
All right. So did it strike you about how much snow was in that? I didn't really think about it until I was just watching it. There's an awful lot of snow play in there.
yeah.
All right.
That was
That
awesome.
was really sweet, Gail. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's on our website, along with the whole video of the graduation or promotion ceremony. If you wanted to go back and take a look at the whole ceremony, you can. It was a difficult year, I think, for everybody, and the kids really missed each other. But we all made the best of it and pulled together to try to make it as educational and as collaborative and to make the kids feel connected. And I'm happy at what the kids take away from Jackson Grammar School are some of the things that we try to stress. So I was pleased to see those things like taking care of each other and taking care of the little kids and some of those things come up. So.
And the school really does look so beautiful. It's the kind of thing where like the first couple of days I couldn't drive by without getting a little weepy. And today I finally made it by without getting teary, but it's so stunning, and just all of the effort that went into those incredible pennants. It's so festive, and everybody, just Susan and Kathy and everybody who participated, it's so lovely.
Well, many of the younger children made signs that were up on that day that they've come to take, so you can't really see all of them, but the whole driveway was lined with good wishes and posters from the younger kids for the older kids, so that was nice too.
It was awesome, and it did make me cry every year. I cried. So it was an amazing job by everybody, and you could certainly see in the presentation, how much everybody just wanted it to be different, but made the best of what it was, and it was phenomenal. So,
Great.
It's good.
So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to board member issues, committee reports, the policy committee. Is there anything more than what we already covered? I don't think so. No. Okay. Let's see. And then I did have, I guess I can add it after, but I have a note here in the minutes. I think Jerry had an FYI. He was going to ask the selectmen a question about the frugality that they were doing with the school bus. I don't know if there was any follow-up to that or not. Just curious.
With the school bus?
I think it was in the school board minutes, and you were going to follow up with the selectmen. It was the town had voted, if I'm not mistaken, the town had voted to give back 60,000, but the selectmen gave back shy of that for some reason. I'm sure it's probably compound interest or something of that nature.
It was the trustees of the trust fund, Jerry, not the selectmen.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Gail.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I guess about the school bus, this was the first I'm aware of it, I think.
Oh, it was in the minutes from the last meeting that you had said you were going to follow up to see why that was that. So it's not a big deal. I just was curious. So
No, that was about the monies we'd be receiving from the town that we ordinarily do for our budget. I don't recall it being about the school bus at all.
Well, they reimbursed us 55,000 when we had voted
okay.
to get 60,000 out of the bus trust fund for buses. So I'm not clear on why, but that was what the discussion was, that we got less than we requested for the buses.
Kevin, did you do any follow up on that? Because that's.
Lily, you're attached to the meeting. I don't know if you have any clarity for us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. They did let me know via a phone call that the trustees of the trust decided at their meeting to reimburse, I believe it was $55,875 as opposed to the $60,000 that was voted upon and requested. And they said if I was interested in finding out the reasons why, I could listen to their meeting on the Jackson website that the trustees of the trust meetings are reported on. I did not listen to the meeting. It was that payment came in the first week we all went home in mid-March. I can follow up with them and ask for specifics if you'd like.
I can do that too.
Lily,
But
you don't. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about why they wouldn't have honored our full request for that. That's not really. I mean, that's not. I don't know what. It'd be interesting to see what their reasoning was for not honoring it, because it's, their role, and it is basically just to verify that, we have the authority to request the funds and we're doing it properly. They don't have as far as I know, they don't have the authority to say how much that we withdraw from that and use. So,
Yeah, so Jerry, this is more your area, but when Lily did ask, they told her, if you want to know, go listen to the minutes. So instead of taking a few moments to explain the situation to her, so I didn't care for that for her. I mean, just take a few minutes and explain to her the reason would be, more than apropos and nice. But if you wouldn't mind following up on, because you know them better than I do.
no, I'll definitely
Finding
follow
out
up on that. That's I'm curious about that anyway, because that doesn't quite seem.
Great. If you
Here, I can forward you the initial request with all documentation so you have it, okay?
Okay, you're a little garbled, Lily, but I think she's going to send you the documentation that she has on it, Jerry.
Perfect. Thanks, Lily.
You got it.
I mean, if it happened once, I'm curious to know why, but I don't want it to be a reoccurring situation. And there's no reason why I don't think they could have taken a few minutes to explain the reasoning, that's all, as well. So we'll follow up on that, that's all. Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
All right, so section B. Yep. Yes?
Question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an appropriate time, but just board member attendance. I'm a little concerned over the last 6 months that we haven't had much of an opportunity to be a full board, and that we've had a person missing a lot of the time. And I don't know if there's specific rules about that. But just we are such a small team. I think it's important for us all to get to be together on these occasions that we get to be together.
I agree with you, Kate. I do. I'm not sure if there is a rule. I think there is a 2 meeting.
I thought it was 2 meetings, but I asked that a couple months ago, and it sounded like that wasn't a clear rule that that I thought that it was. And so I'm wondering if there is kind of a rule or expectation.
So there is no rule at all. I mean, it's just, so you're elected into the position until someone else is elected into that position. And that's it. There's no thing other than that. So you're a board member until your term is up and someone gets reelected into that position. There's no rules for attendance or anything. I mean, there's ethics involved with it for sure, but that doesn't change the reality of how you're, or whether or not you're a board member. There's no rule for attending meetings.
Okay.
But duly noted, Kate. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next up is the consider school board letter to the community. I think everybody had a chance. I don't know if it went out on e-news. I know it went out on this agenda, but I don't know if Darlene or Meredith or Emily had a chance to read it as well, since I think they're still in attendance. I'm not sure. So let's
put it there.
No,
So-
I was unaware of this, but I'm going to glance through it real fast.
I'm reading it quickly right now.
Thank you. I know it's not open to citizen comments right now, but we're having a discussion and everybody next. So I just I'll start off. I completely support the issue. My concern is that being in the school board, we're chartered really with being fiscally responsible for the school, as well as for the education of the students and kind of steering that. It kind of gets to a slippery slope when we start to put our own personal politics or spin on what should be happening. So I get a little concerned. Again, I completely support the issue. That's not the question. It's just, if we send this letter out, where was the Me Too letter? And will next week or the week after be a Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter letter? And then where's the religious side, or, supporting you know, the Pride Week. So we really, it's the community, the SAU 9 sent out a nice letter about the situation, offering references. Gail did a very nice letter to the Jackson community with resources, which I thought was perfect. So I like those as well. And that's just my concern, is if we start doing these types of letters to support certain political or certain personal views, then we have to do it for everything. And that's not really what we're chartered to do as school board members. So that's all I have to say about that, but I'll open it up. So.
Thanks for that. My sense is that this is not the issue that we're talking about, which is systemic racism, which is an issue which is at the forefront of a global conversation right now, is not the same as the other things that might come upon us as a school board. Like, this is something that's entrenched in how our nation was founded, and the reckoning that is happening is something that we very much want to be a part of. And we want to be a part of it with our students and with our teachers, and as a school board to stand behind saying that, like, we know that we all have a part of this, especially I think because we are a predominantly white school community. And I think that standing up for that right now, I feel like it's a very different thing than something that would come up again and again, where we would say, oh, now do we have to comment on all these other movements? Because this is not a movement. This is standing up for what we believe in on, I would say, one of the most fundamentally important things that we could take a stand on as a school board.
Right, and I agree with that. The other things are, I mean, there's domestic violence. I mean, the Me Too movement, I think that is very important. And it's the same, it's entrenched in our society. So, I mean, I'm not saying this isn't, I'm just saying as a school board.
I think that all of those things are real and true, Jen. However, I think that as the American Academy of Pediatrics states it, for children of color, the main deciding factor of their health outcomes for Black students and children is racism. And so those things are all real and all part of our cultural dialogue and part of the conversation of being in our society. But I think that this stands in a very different light than those issues.
All right. I'm not saying I disagree, I'm just concerned, that's all.
Great to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I mean, I think, as you said, Jen, that the SAU 9 put out a statement. I think it should be upon every school board, every select board in the state to put out statements about this at this time. I don't really see it as a political issue. It's about addressing systemic racism in our society. And we're charged as a school to make sure that it doesn't exist in our schools, or to do everything we can to address it being in our schools. And I think it's important for our community to really kind of look at it from the standpoint of, as this letter addresses, that we are a homogenous society here, so we do need to be, I think, very vigilant in being cognizant of this issue. And making sure that we're doing everything that we can to do something about it. This is at the forefront of our country right now. Our entire country is addressing this issue right now, and this isn't the time to sit on the sidelines and not at least recognize that.
Well, I didn't feel like we were sitting on the sidelines. I mean, we've done the letter from Gail and this. I just want to put it out there. If other things come up, are we going to address that as well? So,
well, I think if there's other issues,
and it's in our handbook and in our.
I think if there's other issues that come up that our entire country is facing, then we would address those issues as they come up for certainty, for sure. I would think it would be our responsibility to.
Okay.
I really appreciate what you said, Jerry, about the opportunity that, and it's something that I brought up inside of the joint boards meeting. Like, I think that there should be a response at the school board level for all of us. And, and I hope that there are many other conversations happening right now. I know there are in school boards across the country. I hope they are within SAU 9. And I think that if we decide to share this letter, then also sharing it with that greater school board community and saying, here's the stance that we take. Because when I looked at drafting this, I was really inspired looking across the country at like the statements that school boards were making and what that felt like it meant to the education that we could give our kids.
I think making a statement for our Jackson population, I think the SAU 9 did a nice job. Gail did a really nice job also, like everybody. But I think that from, as we get to be a group of people that champions for Jackson students that as a whole at, across 3 schools and then some, this is an opportunity for us to get to say something to our students in our community. Our students of color are students that are impacted in a variety of ways in their daily life, whether it be at school or in the community, by this conversation. And having a collective voice for our community to be part of this conversation, I think is incredibly important.
I think that's very well said, Kate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we all felt the same, feel the same way, and that it's an important issue, but we all have to look at other issues that come up as well now. So, I mean, the Me Too movement was also nationwide and across the world. We didn't do anything about that either. So not saying they're the same or measured the same, I'm just saying that now that we've done this, that we really need to be cognizant of other things that come up as well.
I think having
so we'll make a motion.
Well, I want to answer that in that I think having a school board dialogue about what's happening globally, if that's what we want to have, and we want, like I set out to advocate for this and reached out because it was something that was really important, and also other people shared that. And so I think it's also about what comes to the surface inside of that. I don't think we need to say, does this have a threshold as a global movement? Do we need to do something? I think it also comes from who's on the school board and what their leadership needs to speak to. So I think that it's an opportunity going forward if need be. And I also I want to take a step beyond this also and talk about what is a possible first step that we can do to address this beyond the letter. So yeah, I mean, if we're ready to do it, can I make a motion to vote on it, or how does that work? So motion to vote on the letter.
So moved.
Second.
So the motion would be,
In favor?
so the motion as I hear it is, this is a motion for the Jackson School Board to send out this community letter.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And was there further discussion, or are we ready to vote, Jen?
I would just like to say, I would like to see kind of this to go a little bit beyond this letter as well.
Yeah.
And Michael, what you just said there, I think it resonated with me as well, that this is an issue that the board can take on as a board, and it doesn't have to just be a global issue as well. But I would like us to take a look at, I mean, first of all, I think that the Jackson Grammar School does a great job of addressing these issues. I think the Bartlett School does a great job of addressing these issues. The Kennett High School just went through this, and I think it did a great job of addressing the issue. And this isn't a critique of what happened. It's just that as a board, I think it's our responsibility to take a look at these things, and I think we should take a look at our curriculum. It's a trust but verify. Let's see what the schools are doing to address these issues specifically, and what is the content that's being taught to our students to address racism and social injustice, which does include the Me Too movement. If you ask me, I mean, it does touch on all of those things. And if you look at our Portrait of a Learner that we just adopted, do we just adopt it and then move on from that, or do we adopt it and actually look at what we're doing to address the Portrait of a Learner to make that student be the best that they can be and meet their full potential. So it's just kind of a part of that. So maybe it'd be best to address it like with in our goal setting session to talk about this. How do we create, is it just our curriculum committee, or do we have a different kind of group that takes a look at what's actually going on in our schools to address these issues? And I'd like to continue down that path anyway with it.
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome. So well spoken, Jerry. And we could also form, either whether it's within our curriculum committee, I think we have an opportunity to do something alongside that and like a JEDI committee. So, justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion, and have, I think like that move and what that signals to have a JEDI committee from our school board. And again, as Jerry said, it's not because we don't think things are being handled well. It's because we're saying, let's give more support, like how, let's make sure that we're really looking at this and that we're singling it out as a space that like we believe in this and we want to support our community, all the way from Jackson Grammar School all the way to Kennett to do as great of a job as they can do on it. And I think that if we can advocate for that, that'd be great. So we can take that up in our goal setting, or I would also be happy now to talk about if we want to just say like, I don't know if we can have a new committee. I don't know how that works, Kevin. But to be able to look at how we can advocate for that.
Well, that would make me feel better too, if we're not just sending out a letter, but actually doing something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, so can we make a new committee from the new board member? Can I?
Let's put it on our goal setting session, because that's in about a month. So I think that would be the space to have a little bit more dialogue about it. And then in the meantime, we could ask Gail and Kevin, what is, there is a committee already out there, and what is going on, and, gather some information to bring forward.
Mike,
what is the current curriculum, if there is anything specific. Was that Jerry?
Micah seems to have a pretty good grasp on kind of what she's thinking about there. Are we okay with Micah kind of working with Kevin to kind of maybe look at what a subcommittee on this would look like and what the task would be between now and the goal setting session, so that we can get to there with something kind of concrete to move on?
That'd be awesome. That would help us move further.
Cool.
And Jen, I totally agree. It's not just about sending out a letter. It's about the action that follows. And so I appreciate that.
Right. So now, Kevin, I think we'll be ready to vote.
Yeah, we'll vote. Yeah, you bet.
Can I talk now, or do I wait for citizen comments?
Citizen comment.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Thank you, Emily.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just speaking for all the administrators in NLPM, and absolutely, the more we can get the board, and I think you hit it on the head, the community, the wider spread community, the more support. I mean, we get 7 hours a day, and there's another, 17 hours a day that we can use as much help outside of the confines that we do have for all the issues that are out there. All right, sorry.
Awesome.
All those in favor of supporting this letter to the community by the Jackson School Board, Jen Ansaldi,
Yes.
Jerry Doherty,
Yes.
Kate Fournier,
Yes.
and Micah.
Yes.
Good. Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Jen,
I want to ask, just as like in terms of what that means to send it to the community. So does this, can we send it to the e-news as its own thing versus inside the minutes? Can we, share it like Jerry was saying to the select board, to the SA, to the larger board, so that, it's like, it doesn't just sit here in this dialogue buried. How do we actually share it? I mean,
Don't worry, this will be in the Daily Sun too. This will be in the Daily Sun too. It will be. So, but go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, if you want, and you can send a letter to each of the chairs of every board. I mean, you can do that. It just as a matter of protocol, that would be the way that you do. If you send it to the chair of a board, it should go at least into their agenda as an FYI item, whether they choose to act on it or not. If you choose to, you can put a letter into, now that it's been approved by the Jackson School Board, a letter to the editor in the Conway Daily Sun, because you've taken an action to write that. You can post it wherever you'd like, because you've taken an official action as a Jackson School Board. So now it's a public document, and it's yours.
And does that mean any of us can do that, or do we need to actually make a plan for that? That's what I'm trying to.
No. At this point, it's a public document.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's yours. You've taken an action.
To share it with the chair of each board of the SAU. I'm happy to do that, to take that on. Jerry, can you share it with the select board as you mentioned doing? Does that work? Okay, great.
If we're moving on from that, Jen, I got an update on the trustees of the trust fund on the school bus issue.
Yeah.
It was, what they did was, so we appropriated $60,000 we asked for, the warrant article requested $60,000 from the trust fund. And it also appropriated $35,000 from taxation. The total of the bus was $90,000 and change. So the trustees of the trust fund felt that they couldn't draw out more money than was actually the price of the bus, which they would be right on. The only thing I'm not sure they're right on is that I don't know that the $35,000 has to come from taxes. And so the balance can only be whatever comes from the trust fund. I'm not sure they're right about that, but I'll get in touch with Helene Matesky and ask her, and Chris McAleer, just to see and get to the bottom of that. So, but it seemed like they were right in what they did. It's just, I don't know whether they get to choose where the money comes from, whether it comes from the trust fund or it comes from taxation. I don't think they get to do that, but they actually might. So I'll look into it. Unless, Kevin, you know that, or Lily knows that.
And the next time, if Lily's calling, if they could take just a moment to explain something, I mean, it's just nice. I mean, she's not berating them, she's inquiring.
Yeah, but you never know in the moment. Maybe they didn't have time at that point in time to actually address it, and they did. I mean, all of those sorts tend to be pretty transparent and clear when they can be, so they might have just been in a rush or something.
Just, a new person on our school board, getting that kind of answer first time around, inquiring about something doesn't look good for us. So anyway, I would like to, before we move on to the next, so section, 10B1(2) is in reference to the goal setting session. So we're looking at, I have a couple of dates, so I'm going to send out the dates now that people have responded to me, and we'll just go with the majority of people because not everybody can make the time frame, and I think it behooves us to have Gail and Sasha there as well as a majority of the school board. So that's kind of how I'm weighting it, and then we'll go from there. So because we want to get it in, so that's our goal. So it'll be one of those mornings that we talked about. For those who didn't know, Sasha had her baby, so everybody's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right, our next meeting is July 20th, 6 p.m. Is that good for everybody?
Jen, I don't know. I'm actually probably going to be on the road that day, like driving that day.
Okay.
So
right.
like for 15 hours. So I don't know if I'll actually be able to make that meeting.
You're not going to pull over?
No, probably not. I might be at the destination on that day. It's either the 19th or the 20th that I'm driving, so I'm not quite sure yet. I actually might be there the 20th, in which case I probably can make the meeting. But
well, if you're not, if you know sooner than later, let us know, and then maybe we'll move the meeting.
But as long as three other people can be there.
Yeah, I can be there.
Can be there.
Micah, you can be there. And, okay, we'll go with that then. Okay, open up for citizen comments. Is she frozen or am I frozen? There we
Are you
go.
talking about me?
Yes. Right
Am
in front
I
of you.
frozen? But I might be unstable. So I just wanted to speak to the letter to the Jackson community that you all are putting forward. Applaud that effort. I have had numerous committee members, or not committee, community members contact me since the incident, the murder of George Floyd, and what are different community sectors doing. And I do spend a lot of time around younger adults these days, and it's really exciting to see the passion that they have for this. All I keep saying is get out and vote. But I think the big thing to take politics out of it is that realizing that there is the great work that's happened in the past. The Bureau of Student Wellness just really encouraging you all to, as always, make sure you're not reinventing, engaging with the larger community, the other school boards, with the diversity committee, not quite sure where it's at, but the work that they've done, because very much passionate that this all starts with our youngest kids to make the difference. So commend you for that action being taken. And I did just want to mention, I'm not sure if all of you are aware, I'm now serving in the role as Emergency Management Director for Jackson. And so as the reentry process, whatever that's going to look like, goes on, looking into the fall, feel free to reach out for me. I've been doing a lot of calls. I'm sure you're aware of everything, but if there's anything particular to our little school with a big heart, happy to just be there as a resource along with Jay and everybody else in town. So that's it.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emily, and thanks for the reminder and
Thank you, Emily.
for us to work within what's been created and to further it.
It's Darlene Ferentz. At the last meeting, when you were looking for community involvement in the Cooperative School District Planning Committee, I did volunteer, and you said you were putting it out. I did send Susan Ross Parent my contact information on the 21st of May. I have that email in front of me, and she said she was going to forward that to Jen. So I do still have an interest in that.
Darlene, I have you already pegged in. Don't worry. You're not going anywhere.
Well, no, I'm not planning to. I'm not planning to. All right, great. Thank you.
Yes, no, you're on there. But we put it out there to the community. I was curious to see if anybody else, but you are already, I have a sweatshirt made and everything for you. So you're
all right, great. Because when you said Jerry, he was all by himself. I didn't want him to feel too lonely. So.
Oh, just on the school.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, I'll hang tight then.
Can I make a quick comment?
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes.
Of course. Oh, there you are.
Hi, here I am. I also want to thank you for your hard work on the letter. I really appreciate it. And I've also noticed that I've been getting just from other associate colleges and just other organizations that I've been involved with letters as well, which I have never seen before on any issue. But the other thing that I would like to say is, as the school obviously is taking this to the next step and looking for resources and how to move forward with this, let me know if there's anything I can do, particularly in things of like children's resources, children's books, if there's a way I can help facilitate that, or have dialogue with the staff at the school, or just any way that that I can help in that process. Thanks.
Could you just identify yourself for the note taker, Melissa Donaldson?
I'm Meredith Pietro. I'm both a community member and the children's librarian. So thanks. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Meredith. It's awesome to have your support.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we are pretty much done. We don't have any non-public this evening. I went over all my notes. Anybody else have anything before I wrap it up here? Nope. Excellent.
Nice job on the
Thank you,
meeting,
guys.
Jen. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
I appreciate it. All right.
Kevin,
All right,
thanks.
Kevin, enjoy. Thanks,
thanks.
guys.
See you all.
Everybody. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Kevin.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Remember to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, it's motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Second.
And all those in favor? Jen,
Yes.
Jerry, Kate, and Micah. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.